When my white CEO husband didn't come home that night, I thought the worst thing that could happen was him cheating on me. I was wrong. At 6:12 the next morning, I received a text from his mistress with photos of them together. But that wasn't the devastating part. The devastating part was the voice recording she sent next, where I heard my own husband mocking my simple background and calling me exotic, like I was some tourist in his perfect white world. Everyone expected me to disappear quietly, to pack my bags and slink away in shame. Instead, I put on my red dress, smiled for the cameras at his charity gala, and let his own arrogance destroy everything he'd built. What happened next shocked everyone, including me. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this story proves that sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply refusing to disappear. The salmon was getting dry in the oven. I checked the time on my phone again. 7:47 p.m. Evan said he'd be home by 7. I turned the heat down and covered the fish with foil. The rice was perfect 20 minutes ago. Now it sat there, cold and clumpy. I hate reheated rice. It never tastes the same. My phone buzzed. Evan. Running late, babe. Last-minute investor thing. Start without me. I stared at the message. Last minute. That's what he always said when work mattered more than dinner. When work mattered more than me sitting here in this big house, waiting. I typed back. How late? The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Evan. Not sure. Don't wait up. Don't wait up. Those words hit different tonight. They felt cold. I turned off the oven and put the food away. The kitchen felt too quiet. Our house always felt too quiet when Evan wasn't here. Too big, too perfect. Too much like a magazine and not enough like a home. I was loading the dishwasher when my phone rang. Lydia, Evan's mother. Hello, Mrs. Whitmore. I always called her that. She never asked me to call her mom. Nia, dear. Her voice was sweet like artificial honey. I was just checking in. How are you both? Both. She always said both, but her tone suggested she really meant, how is Evan and are you taking proper care of him? We're fine. Evan's at a work meeting. Oh, how dedicated he is. Pride filled her voice. I raised him to prioritize important things. Important things. I knew I wasn't on that list. Well, I won't keep you. Give my son my love. The line went dead. No goodbye for me. No, how are you doing, Nia? No interest in my day at the hospital or my life outside of being Evan's wife. I climbed the stairs to our bedroom. The house felt different when Evan was gone. Empty. Like I was borrowing space that didn't really belong to me. I got ready for bed slowly, brushed my teeth, washed my face, put on my pajamas, the cotton ones, not the silk ones Evan bought me. Those were for him, not for comfort. At 9:30 I texted him, "Everything okay?" No response. At 10:15, "Call me when you can." Nothing. By 11:00, I was lying in bed staring at the ceiling. The house made settling noises around me, creaks and sighs that sounded too loud in the dark. I'd been married to Evan for 2 years. In that time, he'd had dozens of last-minute meetings, important calls, urgent investor dinners, but he always texted me back. He always let me know he was thinking about me. Tonight felt different. At midnight, I turned off my bedside lamp. Evan's side of the bed stayed cold and empty. I woke up at 6:12 a.m. to silence. No shower running, no coffee maker gurgling in the kitchen, no Evan humming off key while he got dressed. I reached for my phone. No messages, no missed calls. His side of the bed was exactly how I'd left it. Pillows untouched, comforter smooth. My chest felt tight. Not panic, not yet. Just a growing awareness that something was wrong, really wrong. I sat up and checked his location on Find My Friends. We'd shared our locations when we got married. For safety, he'd said. so we always know the other is okay. His phone was at the Fairmont Hotel downtown. The Fairmont. That was where his company held big meetings sometimes, but not overnight meetings. Never overnight. I swung my legs out of bed. The hardwood floor was cold against my bare feet. My phone felt heavy in my hands. A notification popped up. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Spam calls started early these days, but something made me tap it. It wasn't a call. It was a text message. And attached to that message was a photo. The photo showed a hotel room, a rumpled white bed. And in that bed, Evan was asleep. His arm was around a woman with long blonde hair. Her face was turned toward the camera. She was awake. She was smiling. My hands started shaking. Another message appeared. "This is Claire. I think we should talk." Then another. "He's been telling me you two are basically roommates, that you don't even sleep in the same bed anymore." My vision blurred. I blinked hard, trying to focus. Another message. "I'm sending you something else. He recorded these for me last week." A voice note appeared. I recognized the little microphone icon. My finger hovered over it. I pressed play. Evan's voice filled the quiet bedroom. "Claire, baby, you should see her in the morning. She tries so hard to be elegant like my mother, but she just isn't. She doesn't understand our world. She thinks fancy dinner means Olive Garden." Laughter in the background. Her laughter. Another voice note. "I know I should have married someone from my background. Someone who fits. But Nia, she was different. Exotic. My mother hates that word, but that's what drew me to her. Now I'm stuck with someone who doesn't even know which fork to use at charity events." I dropped the phone. It bounced on the bed, still playing. "She's sweet, don't get me wrong. But sweet doesn't belong at galas. Sweet doesn't photograph well next to real elegance." The voice notes stopped. The room went silent again. I picked up my phone with numb fingers. I took screenshots of everything. The photos, the messages, the voice recordings. My hands moved automatically, like they belonged to someone else. One more message from Claire. "I thought you should know the truth. Evan says you'll disappear quietly once you realize you don't belong. The charity gala is this Friday. He wants me there as his date. I hope you understand." I set the phone down carefully. My reflection stared back at me from the black screen. Dark skin. Natural hair pulled back in a simple bun. Brown eyes that suddenly looked too wide in my face. I understood now. I understood everything. The front door opened at 11:30 a.m. I heard Evan's keys hit the ceramic bowl by the entrance. The same bowl I'd picked out when we first moved in together. The same bowl he'd said was cute, but would look better somewhere less visible. "Nia?" His voice carried up the stairs. Casual, normal. "Sorry about last night. The meeting ran so late we just crashed at the hotel." "We." He said we so easily. I was sitting on the living room couch, still in my pajamas. I'd been sitting there for hours, staring at my phone screen, reading the messages over and over, listening to his voice say those words about me. Exotic, sweet, doesn't belong. "There you are." Evan appeared in the doorway, all smiles and apologies. He looked tired but satisfied, like a man who'd had a good night. "How was your meeting?" My voice sounded normal. I was surprised by that. "Productive." He sat down next to me, close enough that I could smell his cologne mixed with something else, a perfume I didn't recognize. "Sorry I didn't text back. My phone died." His phone died, but somehow it had enough battery to record voice messages for Claire. "That's okay," I said. He studied my face. "You sure? You look upset." "Just tired. I didn't sleep well when you weren't here." His expression softened. "Aw, baby, I'm here now." He reached for my hand. His fingers were warm, familiar. They felt like lies. "What kind of meeting was it?" I asked. "Investor stuff. Really boring." He was already reaching for the TV remote. "Want to watch something? I could use some downtime." Boring. But interesting enough to spend the night with Claire. "Actually, I should get ready for work," I said. "It's Saturday." Saturday. I'd lost track of the days. Right. I meant, I should call in, check on things. He frowned. "Since when do you work weekends?" "Since when do you sleep at hotels with other women?" But I didn't say that. "Just want to catch up on some admin stuff." He shrugged and turned on the TV. Sports highlights filled the screen, normal Saturday morning sounds. I watched him settle into the couch cushions, watched him get comfortable in our home, our life, the life he was already planning to leave. "I'm going to shower," I said. He didn't look away from the TV. In the bathroom, I turned on the water and sat on the edge of the tub. My phone was in my hand again. Those screenshots were still there, still real. I could confront him. I could throw the phone at him and scream and demand answers. I could call Claire and tell her exactly what I thought of her. But something held me back. Maybe it was the way he'd said, "We crashed at the hotel." So casual, so confident that I'd never find out. Maybe it was hearing him call me exotic like I was something interesting he'd picked up on vacation. Maybe it was knowing that he thought I'd disappear quietly. I deleted the unknown number from my call log. I put my phone in my robe pocket. I got in the shower. The hot water felt good against my skin. Real. Honest. Not like the lies filling up my house. When I got out, I could hear Evan on a phone call downstairs. His voice was low and happy, probably talking to her. I got dressed slowly, jeans and a sweater. Nothing fancy. Nothing that tried too hard to be elegant. I looked at myself in the mirror. Dark skin, natural hair, simple clothes. Sweet, he'd called me. Sweet doesn't belong at galas. We'd see about that. By Monday afternoon, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I needed to tell someone, and Marcia was the obvious choice. Marcia Cole was my closest friend at the hospital. She worked in patient services, 2 floors down from my office in administration. She was 34, divorced, and had a way of cutting through nonsense that I envied. We met for coffee in the hospital cafeteria during my break. The place smelled like disinfectant and reheated pizza. Nothing fancy. Nothing that tried to be what it wasn't. "You look terrible," Marcia said as soon as she sat down. "What's wrong?" I pulled out my phone. "I need to show you something, but you can't get loud, okay? We're at work." Her eyebrows went up. "Nia, you're scaring me." I handed her the phone with the screenshots pulled up. Marcia's face went through several changes as she read. Confusion. Anger. Something that looked like she wanted to hit someone. "This is your husband?" she whispered. "Yeah. And this Claire woman just sent you this? Out of nowhere." Marcia scrolled through the voice recordings. Her jaw got tighter with each one. "Did you listen to these?" "Every word." "Jesus, Nia." She handed the phone back. "What are you going to do?" That was the question I'd been asking myself all weekend. While Evan worked on his laptop and took mysterious phone calls, while he kissed my forehead and told me he loved me, while he talked about our plans for next month like nothing had changed. "I don't know," I said. "You could call a lawyer." "And say what? My husband is cheating and saying mean things about me? That's not illegal." "You could confront him." "And then what? He apologizes. He promises to change. He leaves Claire, and we go back to pretending everything's perfect." Marcia leaned back in her chair. "So you're just going to do nothing?" I didn't say that. She waited for me to explain. I wasn't sure I could. "You know what bothers me most?" I said finally. "It's not even that he's cheating. It's how sure he is that I'll just disappear quietly. Like I'm this timid little wife who'll run away at the first sign of trouble. Aren't you? Marcia asked gently. The question hit harder than I expected. What do you mean? Nia, you've been married to this man for 2 years. You live in his house, in his neighborhood, with his friends. You work part-time because he said you didn't need to work full-time. You've been disappearing quietly for years. I wanted to argue, but she was right. I had been disappearing. Little by little. Choice by choice. So what should I do? I asked. Whatever makes you feel like yourself again. I thought about that for the rest of my shift. Whatever makes you feel like yourself again. Who was I before Evan? I was Nia Carter, who worked full-time and lived in a small apartment and didn't apologize for using the wrong fork. I was a woman who spoke up when something bothered her, who didn't smile and nod when people dismissed her. When had I stopped being that person? That evening, I found Evan in his home office. He was surrounded by papers and laptop screens, working on something that looked important. He always looked important when he was working. Hey, I said from the doorway. Hey yourself. He glanced up with a smile. How was work? Good. I stepped into the room. It smelled like his expensive cologne and leather furniture. I was thinking about the charity gala on Friday. His smile faltered slightly. What about it? I want to go. Of course you're going. You're my wife. No, I mean I want to go. Not just as your +1. I want to be there. He set down his pen. Nia, we've talked about this. These events can be overwhelming. Lots of important people. Lots of pressure. Important people. People from his world. People who knew which fork to use. I can handle it, I said. I know you can. It's just... He ran a hand through his hair. My mother will be there. The board members. Everyone will be watching. Watching for what? You know how these people are. They judge everything. What you wear, how you talk, who you know. I don't want them making you uncomfortable. He was protecting me. That's how he saw it. Protecting his sweet, simple wife from his complicated world. What if I want to be uncomfortable? I asked. He laughed. Why would you want that? Because comfortable had made me invisible. Because comfortable had made me small. Because comfortable had made it easy for him to think I'd disappear quietly. I just do, I said. He studied my face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Okay, if it's important to you, we'll go together. But wear the blue dress. The one my mother liked. The blue dress. Conservative. Safe. Appropriate for a wife who didn't want to make waves. Actually, I was thinking about the red one. The red one? His eyes widened. Nia, that might be a bit much for this crowd. The red dress was beautiful. It fit me perfectly. It made me look confident and proud. Evan had bought it for me, but suggested I save it for the right occasion. Apparently, appearing next to him wasn't the right occasion. I like the red one, I said, but the blue one is more. He searched for the word. More what? More you. More me. The version of me that he wanted. The version that didn't make him uncomfortable. Maybe I'm tired of being more me, I said. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I turned to leave. Never mind. Nia, wait. He stood up. Is everything okay? You've been acting strange since the weekend. Strange. Not upset or hurt or angry. Just strange. I'm fine, I said. Just excited about Friday. He didn't look convinced, but he nodded. Okay. The blue dress, though. Promise me? I smiled at him. Sweet and accommodating. The way he expected. We'll see, I said. That night, I lay in bed next to Evan while he slept. He was on his side, facing away from me. His breathing was deep and even. Peaceful. I wondered if Claire was thinking about him too. if she was planning what to wear on Friday, if she was imagining how it would feel to walk into that ballroom on his arm. She thought I would disappear quietly. She thought I would read those messages and pack my bags and slip away without a fight. She thought I was that kind of woman. Evan thought so too. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text message lit up the screen. Claire, can't wait for Friday night. The whole world will see us together. I memorized the words before the screen went dark. Then I closed my eyes and made a decision. I wasn't going to disappear quietly. I wasn't going to confront him or call lawyers or make a scene. I was going to Friday's gala. I was going to wear the red dress. I was going to stand next to my husband in front of all those important people and let them see exactly who I was. And when the truth came out, because it would come out, truth always did, I was going to be standing right there, not hiding, not running, not disappeared. I was going to be present for every moment of his downfall. The thought should have made me sad, or angry, or scared. Instead, for the first time since Saturday morning, I felt like myself again. Tuesday and Wednesday passed in a strange kind of slow motion. Evan worked late both nights. Preparing for the gala, he said. Lots of last-minute details. I wondered if Claire was part of those details. He seemed nervous. More nervous than usual before big events. He kept checking his phone and having whispered conversations that stopped when I walked into the room. On Wednesday evening, his mother called. Darling. Lydia's voice carried from the kitchen where Evan had answered. I'm so excited for Friday. The photographer from Vanity Fair will be there. Make sure Nia looks presentable. Presentable. I wondered what that meant to her. She'll be fine, Mom. I know you think so, dear. But these events are important for your image, for the company's image. I just want everything to be perfect. Everything, including me. Don't worry about it, Evan said. I've got it handled. He had me handled. Like I was a problem that needed managing. Thursday morning, I took a personal day from work. I told Marcia I needed time to prepare for the gala. She knew I really needed time to prepare for whatever was coming after. I drove to the salon where I usually got my hair done. It was a small place in my old neighborhood, not the fancy place Lydia recommended, not the place where Evan's friends' wives went. What are we doing today? Asked Keisha, my stylist. Something different, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Different how? Something that looks like me, the real me. Keisha smiled. Now that I can work with. 3 hours later, I looked in the mirror and saw someone I recognized. Someone I'd been missing. That afternoon, I picked up my dress from the dry cleaner. The red dress. It hung in my closet like a promise. I spent the evening alone. Evan had another preparation meeting that would run late. I ordered Chinese takeout and ate it straight from the containers while watching a movie that made me laugh. For the first time in months, I felt calm. Tomorrow would change everything. I knew that. But tonight, I was just Naya, not Evan's wife or Lydia's disappointment or Claire's obstacle. Just me. At 10 p.m., I got a text from Claire. Hope you're ready for tomorrow night. The whole world will finally see what Evan really wants. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, You're absolutely right. They will. I hit send before I could change my mind. Her reply came immediately. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this. Reasonable. That's what they all expected from me. Sweet, reasonable Nia who knew her place. Tomorrow night, they would see exactly how reasonable I could be. Friday morning arrived gray and cloudy. I woke up before my alarm, my stomach tight with nerves. Today was the day. Evan was already in the shower. I could hear him humming, actually humming, while he got ready. He sounded happy, excited. I checked my phone. No new messages from Claire. But I had a feeling that would change soon. Morning, beautiful. Evan emerged from the bathroom with a towel around his waist. His hair was damp, and he was grinning. Big day today. Yes, it is. I kept my voice steady. You nervous? He opened his closet and pulled out his tuxedo. The expensive one his mother had insisted he buy. A little. Don't be. You'll be perfect. He leaned over and kissed my forehead. Just remember what we talked about. Simple. Elegant. Let me do the talking. Let me do the talking, like I was a child who might say the wrong thing. Of course, I said. He was getting dressed when his phone rang. The ringtone he'd set for work calls, urgent and demanding. Whitmore. His voice shifted into business mode. Professional, important. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but I watched Evan's face change. The smile disappeared. His eyebrows drew together. What do you mean online? He said. My heart started beating faster. Where exactly? Send me the link. He grabbed his laptop from the dresser and opened it with one hand while holding the phone with the other. Jesus Christ, he muttered. Then louder. How many people have seen this? I pretended to be checking my own phone, but I was watching him. His face had gone pale. No, don't do anything yet. Let me figure this out. He hung up. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Whatever he found made his jaw clench. Everything okay? I asked, innocent as could be. Fine. But his voice was tight. Just some social media nonsense. Social media nonsense. I wondered what Claire had posted, what mistake she'd made. His phone rang again. Different ringtone. Personal call. Claire. He answered it quickly, his voice low. What the hell were you thinking? I couldn't hear her response, but Evan's face got redder with each second. Delete it. Now. He was almost whispering, but the anger in his voice was clear. I don't care if it was just your story. People screenshot everything. Screenshots. The word hit different now. We'll talk about this later. I can't deal with this right now. He hung up and threw the phone on the bed. I watched him run his hands through his damp hair. He looked stressed. Actually stressed, for the first time since I'd known him. Sure everything's okay? I asked again. It's nothing. Just some drama with a business associate. He forced a smile. Nothing that will affect tonight. A business associate. That's what Claire was now. Good, I said. I'm looking forward to tonight. By afternoon, Evan had taken 3 more work calls. Each one made him more tense. He kept closing his laptop when I walked into the room. He kept his phone face down on the table. At 2 p.m., Lydia called. Darling, I'm hearing some very disturbing rumors. Her voice carried from Evan's office. I was in the hallway. Not exactly listening, but not exactly not listening either. It's handled, Mom. Is it? Because Margaret Thornfield just called me about some photos circulating online. Photos of you with some blonde woman. Photos. Plural. It's nothing. Just gossip. Nothing? Lydia's voice got sharper. Evan, this is not the time for nothing. The board will be there tonight. Investors. People who matter. A people who matter. I wondered if I was on that list. I said it's handled. It better be. Your father's legacy isn't something we can gamble with. And neither is your marriage. That girl better be picture perfect tonight. That girl, me. Don't worry about Naya, she'll be fine. After Lydia hung up, the house got very quiet. I found Evan in his office, staring at his computer screen. His face was pale. Bad news? I asked. He jumped slightly. No, just work stuff. I walked closer and glanced at his screen. He quickly minimized whatever he was looking at, but not before I saw part of a headline. Tech CEO spotted with mystery woman at luxury hotel. Mystery woman. Claire wasn't so mysterious anymore. You sure you're okay? I touched his shoulder. You seem stressed. I'm fine. He caught my hand and squeezed it. Just want everything to go perfectly tonight." "It will," I said, and I meant it. Everything would go perfectly, just not the way he was expecting. At 5 p.m. I started getting ready. I'd booked an appointment to get my makeup done professionally, but not at the place Lydia suggested. I went to a woman named Tasha, who specialized in darker skin tones, who understood how to make me look like the best version of myself, not a pale imitation of someone else. When I got home, Evan was pacing the living room in his underwear and dress shirt. "Finally," he said when he saw me. "We need to talk about your dress." "What about it?" "I really think the blue one would be better, given everything that's happening." Everything that's happening. His cheating. His lies getting exposed. "I like the red one," I said. "Nia, please. Tonight isn't the night to make a statement." But that's exactly what tonight was. The night to make a statement. "Trust me," I said. "The red dress is perfect." He opened his mouth to argue, but his phone rang again. Another work call. Another crisis to manage. While he dealt with whatever new fire had started, I went upstairs to get dressed. The red dress was waiting for me in my closet. It was beautiful. Fitted but not tight. Elegant but not trying too hard. It made me look confident. Strong. Like a woman who belonged anywhere she decided to be. I put it on slowly. Zipped it up. Looked at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back at me wasn't sweet or simple or exotic. She was powerful. She was ready. I heard Evan end his call downstairs, heard his footsteps on the stairs. "Nia, we really need to..." He stopped in the doorway when he saw me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "You look..." He started, then stopped. "I look like what?" "Beautiful," he said finally. "You look beautiful." But his eyes said something different. They said I looked like trouble. "Thank you," I said. "You ready to go?" He was still staring at me. "Are you sure about that dress?" "I'm sure about everything," I said. The Marriott ballroom was already full when we arrived. Cameras flashed outside the entrance. Local news crews and society photographers, all there to capture the city's most important people at their most charitable. Evan's hand was warm on my back as we walked toward the entrance. But I could feel how tense he was, how his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "Remember," he whispered as we approached the photographers. "Simple answers. Let me handle any questions." The cameras started flashing before we even reached the red carpet. I'd been to events with Evan before, but never anything this big, never anything that mattered this much to him. "Mr. Whitmore, over here." "Evan, how's the company doing?" "Who's your beautiful date?" Date, not wife. They didn't even know who I was. Evan's arm tightened around me. "This is my wife, Nia," he said to the nearest camera. "Wife." He said it loud and clear, like he was proving something. We posed for photos. Evan's smile was perfect, confident, successful, happily married. I smiled too. But my smile was different. It was the smile of a woman who knew secrets. Inside the ballroom, the evening's elite mingled with champagne and small talk, women in designer gowns and men in expensive tuxedos. Everyone looking important and sophisticated and like they'd never had a worry in their lives. "Evan." An older man in a perfectly tailored suit approached us. "Good to see you, son." Son. This had to be someone from the board. "Richard." Evan's voice was warm but careful. "I'd like you to meet my wife, Nia." "Pleasure to meet you, dear." Richard's handshake was firm, but brief. His eyes barely lingered on me before turning back to Evan. "Quite a turnout tonight." "Indeed. Great for the charity. And great for visibility." Richard's smile was meaningful. "Speaking of which, I hear there's been some interesting coverage of you lately." Evan's jaw tightened slightly. "Nothing worth discussing." "Of course not. But you know how people talk. People talk, and apparently they'd been talking about Evan. More couples approached us, board members and their wives, investors and their partners. Each introduction was the same: polite interest in Evan, polite dismissal of me. "This is my wife, Nia. How nice to meet you. Such a lovely event. Evan, we should discuss that quarterly report." I was decoration. Pretty appropriate decoration for a successful man's arm. But I was also something else. I was a witness. 30 minutes into the cocktail hour, I started to feel something I hadn't expected. Happy. Not because of the champagne or the fancy setting or the way people looked at us, but because of how Evan was acting. He was proud to have me there. Genuinely proud. When he introduced me to people, his voice got warmer. When someone complimented my dress, he beamed like he'd picked it out himself. "You're doing great," he whispered in my ear during a lull between conversations. "Thanks. I mean it. I know this world can be overwhelming, but you're handling it perfectly." For a moment, I almost forgot about Claire, about the text messages and the voice recordings and the hotel room photos. For a moment, I was just a wife attending an event with her husband. "I'm proud of you," he said. Those words hit harder than I expected. "I'm proud of you." When was the last time he'd said that? "Evan?" A woman's voice interrupted us. We turned to see a reporter approaching, young, professional, with a press badge hanging around her neck. "Daniel Reyes, Culture and Business, City Weekly," he said, extending his hand to Evan. "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" Evan's smile faltered slightly, but he shook the man's hand. "Of course." "Great event tonight. The Children's Hospital is lucky to have supporters like you." Daniel's voice was friendly, conversational. "How long have you been involved with this charity?" 3 years now. It's a cause close to our hearts." Evan's arm tightened around me. "My wife and I believe in giving back. Our hearts. My wife and I. He was including me, making us a team." "That's wonderful. And Mrs. Whitmore, what drew you to this particular cause?" I blinked. He was asking me a question. A real question. "I work in hospital administration," I said. "I see how much these programs matter to families." "Excellent. And you two seem very happy together." "We are," Evan said quickly. "That's great to hear." Daniel's smile remained friendly, but something in his eyes had changed. "Especially given some of the rumors that have been circulating today." The words hung in the air like smoke. Evan's hand on my back went very still. "I'm sorry?" Evan's voice was carefully neutral. "Oh, just some social media nonsense. You know how these things go. Photos, speculation. I'm sure it's nothing." "I'm afraid I don't know what you're referring to." Daniel pulled out his phone. "Someone forwarded me some interesting screenshots earlier today. Photos of you with another woman. Text messages. Voice recordings." My heart stopped. "I think there's been some mistake," Evan said. "Maybe." Daniel held up his phone. "But I'd love to give you a chance to comment. For the record." The ballroom suddenly felt very quiet. Even though hundreds of people were still talking and laughing around us, everything had gone silent in our little circle. Evan's face had gone white. His hand dropped from my back. "I don't have any comment," he said. "Are you sure? Because the woman in question, Claire Bennett, seems very eager to talk. She's actually here tonight." Here. Claire was here. I turned slightly and scanned the room. There, by the bar, was a tall blonde woman in a gold dress. She was watching us, waiting. Our eyes met across the crowded ballroom. She raised her champagne glass in a small toast. When I turned back, Daniel was still waiting for Evan's answer. His phone was still in his hand, still recording. "No comment," Evan said again. "Fair enough." Daniel pocketed his phone. "Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening." He walked away, leaving us standing there in the sudden silence. Evan's breathing was shallow. His face was still pale. "Evan?" I said quietly. He turned to look at me. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked scared. "Nia, I can explain. Can you?" The words came out calmer than I felt. Around us, the party continued. People laughed and clinked glasses and talked about important things. But our world had just shifted on its axis. "Yes, I can explain everything." I looked into his eyes. The same eyes that had looked at me with love this morning. The same eyes that had recorded those voice messages for Claire. "Okay," I said. "Explain." But before he could say anything, the lights dimmed. A microphone crackled to life. "Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats, dinner will be served shortly." The crowd began moving toward the dining room. Evan looked relieved by the interruption. "Later," he said. "We'll talk about this later." Later. Always later with him. I nodded and let him guide me toward our table. But I was done waiting for later. Later had finally arrived. Our table was near the front of the dining room. Prime real estate for important donors and board members. Evan had specifically requested these seats months ago. "Perfect view of the stage," he'd said when the seating chart arrived. "Everyone will see us." Everyone would see us. How right he'd been. We sat down between Richard from the board and a couple I'd never met. The woman had silver hair and kind eyes. The man looked like he ran marathons for fun. "I'm Janet Morrison," the woman said, extending her hand. "This is my husband, Paul. We've heard so much about you both." "Wonderful to meet you," I said. "Evan's told us you work in healthcare. How fascinating." Evan's face relaxed slightly. Normal conversation. Safe topics. "I'm in hospital administration," I said. "Nothing too exciting." "Oh, but it must be so rewarding, helping people when they need it most." "It is. I meant that. My job wasn't glamorous. But it mattered. Real people with real problems needed real help. Not like this world of appearances and networking." "And how did you two meet?" Paul asked. Evan's smile returned. This was a story he loved telling. "Coffee shop. She was in front of me in line, and she ordered this incredibly complicated drink. Half-calf, oat milk, extra hot, 1 pump vanilla, 1 pump caramel. I remembered that day. I'd been running late for work and stressed about a patient billing issue. The barista had gotten my order wrong twice. I thought she was high maintenance," Evan continued. "But then she tipped the guy $20 because he looked like he was having a bad day. I knew I had to meet her." The table laughed. Even I smiled. It was a good story, a true story. "How romantic," Janet said. "She's been surprising me ever since," Evan said, squeezing my hand under the table. Surprising him, if only he knew. The first course arrived, some kind of fancy salad with ingredients I couldn't pronounce. The conversation moved to safer topics. The charity, the hospital's new wing, how generous everyone was being tonight. I found myself relaxing despite everything. These people were nice. Normal, even. They asked about my work and seemed genuinely interested in my answers. They talked about their own children and grandchildren and everyday worries. For the first time in months, I felt like myself at one of Evan's events. Not like an accessory or a mistake. Just like Nia. "You're doing beautifully," Evan whispered during the salad course. I looked at him, really looked at him. His face was softer now. The stress lines around his eyes had smoothed out. He was enjoying himself too. "Thank you." "I mean it. I know I've been tense lately. Work stress. But seeing you here, watching you shine." He shook his head. "I'm lucky to have you. Lucky to have me." The man who'd called me exotic and simple and not elegant enough for his world was saying he was lucky to have me. The terrible thing was, he meant it. Right now, in this moment, he genuinely meant it. "I'm having a good time," I said, and I was. "Good. You deserve this. You deserve to be here, with these people, in this world. You belong here just as much as anyone. You belong here. The words I'd been waiting 2 years to hear. They came too late, but they still landed somewhere deep in my chest. A small, stupid part of me that had never stopped hoping he'd see me the way I wanted to be seen. The main course was served. Some kind of fish that actually tasted good. The wine was flowing. People were laughing. Even Lydia, who I spotted 3 tables away, looked pleased. For 30 minutes, I forgot about Claire. I forgot about the text messages and the voice recordings. I forgot about Daniel Reyes and his uncomfortable questions. I was just a woman having dinner with her husband. A woman who belonged exactly where she was. It was the happiest I'd been in months. During dessert, Evan excused himself to use the restroom. I watched him weave through the tables, stopping to shake hands and exchange pleasantries with other guests. He looked confident again. In control. Your husband is quite charming, Janet said. Yes, he is. And clearly devoted to you. The way he looks at you. She smiled. Paul and I have been married 35 years, and I still hope we look at each other the way you two do. The way we looked at each other. Like we were in love. Like we were happy. Like we were real. Maybe we were. Maybe underneath all the lies and betrayal and hurt, there was still something real between us. That thought scared me more than anything else that had happened today. Excuse me. A voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up to see Daniel Reyes standing beside our table. His press badge caught the light from the chandeliers. Mrs. Whitmore, could I have a word? Janet and Paul suddenly became very interested in their dessert. I'm sorry, what about? I kept my voice steady. I was hoping to get your perspective on the situation with your husband. Situation. Such a polite word for cheating. I'm not sure what you mean. Daniel pulled out his phone. I have some photographs here, and some audio recordings. I thought you might want to respond before I publish the story. The table went very quiet. Janet's fork clinked against her plate. I think there's been some mistake, I said. Maybe, but the woman who sent these to me seemed very sure of her facts. He paused. Claire Bennett, do you know her? Did I know her? I knew the shape of her smile in hotel room photos. I knew the sound of her laughter in the background of my husband's voice recordings. I knew she thought I would disappear quietly. No, I said. I don't know any Claire Bennett. Interesting, because she knows quite a bit about you. He held up his phone. Even from my seat, I could see a screenshot of text messages. My text messages. The ones Claire had sent me. Where did you get those? She forwarded them to me, along with some other interesting communications. He swiped to another screen. Voice recordings, actually. Your husband talking about your marriage. Would you like to hear them? The entire table was staring at us now. Janet's kind eyes looked concerned. Paul had stopped pretending to eat his dessert. I don't think that's appropriate, I said. You're right. But I thought you should know they exist before the story runs. He pocketed his phone. Last chance for comment. Any statement you'd like to make? Any statement. I had so many statements I wanted to make. About lying husbands and mistresses who sent photos to wives and voice recordings that treated me like a joke. But this wasn't the place. These weren't the people who deserved to get hurt by this mess. No comment, I said. Daniel nodded. Fair enough. Thank you for your time. He walked away, leaving our table in uncomfortable silence. Nia, dear, Janet started. I'm fine, I said quickly. Really, just some misunderstanding. But I wasn't fine. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. The happy glow from dinner had disappeared, replaced by something cold and hard in my stomach. Evan appeared at my shoulder. Everything okay here? Fine, I said. Just chatting with this reporter. His face went white. What reporter? Daniel Reyes. He just left. Evan's eyes darted around the room until he spotted Daniel near the exit, talking to someone else with a notebook. What did he want? To give me a chance to comment on some photos and recordings he has. The blood drained completely from Evan's face. He sat down heavily in his chair. And? I told him no comment. Relief flickered across his features. Good. That's good. Janet and Paul were still watching us, their dessert forgotten. I think I need some air, I said. I'll come with you, Evan said quickly. No. I put my hand on his arm. Stay here, I'll be right back. I needed space to think, space to breathe, space to figure out what I was going to do next. The ballroom felt too small suddenly, too hot, too full of people who were about to find out that the happy couple at table 12 wasn't so happy after all. I made my way to the bathroom, walking slowly so I wouldn't look like I was running away. Even now, even after everything, I didn't want to make a scene. The ladies' room was empty except for an attendant folding hand towels. I went into a stall and sat down, my dress carefully arranged so it wouldn't wrinkle. My phone buzzed. Text message. Claire. Having fun tonight? I saw you talking to the reporter. I stared at the screen. She was here, watching me, enjoying this. Another message. I told you this would happen. I gave you the chance to leave quietly. But I hadn't left. I'd stayed. I'd put on the red dress and smiled for cameras, and laughed at dinner conversation and belonged exactly where I was. A third message. It's not too late. Walk out now and I'll make sure the story focuses on him, not you. She was offering me mercy. A way out. A chance to disappear quietly after all. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could text back that I was leaving. I could slip out of the gala and go home and pack my bags. I could be gone before the story broke, before the pictures appeared online, before everyone saw exactly how little my husband thought of me. I could disappear quietly, just like everyone expected. Instead, I deleted her messages and put my phone away. When I came out of the stall, there was another woman at the sinks. Tall, blonde, gold dress, Claire. We looked at each other in the mirror. She was beautiful in that polished way that came from good genes and expensive maintenance. Everything about her was perfect. Her hair, her makeup, her dress that probably cost more than I made in a month. Nia, she said, not surprised to see me. Claire. She turned to face me. Up close, she looked younger than I'd expected. Maybe 28. Old enough to know better, but young enough to think she was invincible. I'm surprised you're still here, she said. Where else would I be? Home. Packing. Getting ready to start over somewhere else. She checked her lipstick in the mirror. That's what I would do. But you're not me. No, I'm not. She turned back to me. I'm the woman your husband actually wants. The words should have hurt. They were designed to hurt. But they just sounded sad. If he wanted you, he'd be here with you instead of out there with me. He is here with me. He just doesn't know it yet. She smiled. Give it 20 minutes. The story goes live at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. I checked my watch. 8:47. Why are you doing this? I asked. Because I love him. You love him so much that you're willing to destroy his career. I'm not destroying anything. I'm setting him free. Her voice was passionate now, convinced of her own righteousness. He's been trapped in a marriage that doesn't work, with someone who doesn't understand his world. Someone who doesn't understand his world. Funny how that phrase kept coming up. And you do understand it. I am it. I grew up in this world. I speak the language. I know the rules. She gestured around us. Look at tonight. You're trying so hard to fit in, but everyone can see you don't belong. Everyone can see. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was obvious to everyone that I was out of place here. But then I thought about dinner. About Janet asking about my work like it mattered. About Paul wanting to know how Evan and I met. About Evan himself, proud to have me there. "You're wrong," I said. "Am I?" She pulled out her phone. "Want to see what your husband really thinks about you belonging here?" She tapped the screen. Evan's voice filled the bathroom. "The charity gala is always awkward with Naya. She tries, but she doesn't have the background for it. It's like bringing a tourist to your family reunion." A tourist to your family reunion. The words hit harder than all the others combined. "That's just the beginning," Claire said softly. "There are hours of recordings. All the things he's never said to your face. Hours. He'd spent hours talking about me to her. Hours discussing my flaws and inadequacies and all the ways I didn't measure up. I'm trying to be kind here," Claire continued. "Walk away now and keep some dignity. Stay, and everyone will hear what he really thinks of you." She was right. She was absolutely right. I should leave. I should walk out of this bathroom and out of this gala and out of this marriage with whatever pride I had left. Instead, I touched up my lipstick and smoothed my dress. "Thank you for the advice," I said. "You're staying? It's a lovely event. Great cause." I walked toward the door, then paused. "Claire?" "Yes. You might want to touch up your makeup. You have about 10 minutes before your life changes, too." I left her standing there and walked back to the ballroom. Evan was exactly where I'd left him, making nervous conversation with Janet and Paul. His relief when he saw me was obvious. "There you are. Everything okay?" "Perfect," I said. The evening's program was starting. A woman in an elegant black gown took the stage to thank everyone for coming and talk about the children's hospital's needs. I watched Evan during the speech. He was checking his phone every few minutes. His leg bounced under the table. He kept glancing toward the exits. 8:52 p.m. The woman introduced a video about the hospital. Children's faces filled the screen behind her. Kids getting treatment, kids getting better, kids going home with their families. 8:55 p.m. Evan's phone buzzed. He checked it quickly, then went pale. 8:58 p.m. Another buzz, another check. His hand was shaking slightly. "Evan?" I whispered. "You okay?" "Fine, just work stuff." Work stuff. At 8:58 on a Friday night, the video ended. Applause filled the ballroom. 9:00 p.m. Evan's phone lit up with notifications. One after another. His breathing got shallow. 8:01 p.m. More phones around the room were lighting up now. A low murmur started at the back of the ballroom and spread forward. 9:02 p.m. Richard leaned over from the next seat. "Evan, you might want to check the City Weekly website." Evan's face was gray now. His hands fumbled with his phone. I reached over and took his hand. "It's okay," I said quietly. He looked at me with something like confusion, like he couldn't understand why I was being kind to him. "Nia," he started. The murmur in the room was getting louder. People were whispering, pointing, looking at our table. I squeezed his hand. "I know." "You know?" "I've known since Saturday morning." The words hung between us. Around us, the gala continued. The speaker was asking for donations. People were applauding. The world was moving forward. But Evan and I were frozen in that moment of truth. "You knew?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Claire sent me everything. The photos, the voice recordings, all of it." His face went through several expressions. Shock, shame, something that might have been relief. "And you came anyway." "I came anyway. Why?" I looked around the ballroom, at the people who'd been kind to me tonight, at the cause we were all here to support. at the life I'd built, even if it was built on lies. "Because I belong here," I said. Before he could respond, Daniel Reyes appeared at our table again. This time he had a camera crew with him. "Mr. Whitmore, now that the story is live, would you like to make a statement?" The entire ballroom was watching us now. Hundreds of people with their phones out, recording everything. Evan stood up slowly. He looked at me once more, then at the cameras. "No comment," he said. But his voice was shaking, and everyone could hear it. The ride home was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Evan gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him upright. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles working. He hadn't said a word since we left the hotel. I sat in the passenger seat, still in my red dress, watching the city lights blur past my window. The silence in the car was thick and dangerous. We pulled into our driveway. Evan turned off the engine but didn't get out. He sat there, staring straight ahead. "Say something," he said finally. "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. Anything. Yell at me. Throw something. Tell me you hate me." I turned to look at him. His face was pale in the dim light from the garage door opener. "I don't hate you," I said. "You should. Maybe I should have." But sitting there in our car, in our driveway, outside our house, I mostly felt tired. "How long?" I asked. "What? How long have you been seeing her?" He closed his eyes. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of late meetings and dead phones and mysterious calls. "Did you love her?" He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. "I thought I did," he said finally. Thought he did. Past tense already. "What about me? Did you ever love me?" "Of course I loved you. I still love you. But not enough. It wasn't about not enough. It was about..." He ran his hands through his hair. "It was about fitting in. About expectations. About the life I was supposed to have. The life he was supposed to have. Not the life he chose. Not the life he wanted. The life he was supposed to have." "I see. Do you? Because I'm not sure I do anymore." His voice cracked. "I had everything. A beautiful wife, a successful company, respect. And I threw it all away for what? For someone who sold me out the second things got complicated? Someone who sold him out. That's how he saw Claire now. Not the woman he thought he loved. Just someone who betrayed him." "Why didn't you just divorce me?" I asked. "If I wasn't the life you were supposed to have, why didn't you just leave?" He looked at me then. Really looked at me. "Because leaving you would have been the stupidest thing I ever did, and I'm apparently capable of very stupid things." We sat there in the dark car, in the quiet garage, with the truth finally between us. "What happens now?" he asked. I didn't have an answer for that. I wasn't sure there was an answer. "I don't know," I said. I woke up Saturday morning to the sound of Evan's phone ringing. He answered it quickly, his voice hushed but urgent. "I understand. Yes, I'll be available for a call on Monday." I lay in bed pretending to be asleep. We'd slept in the same bed last night, but as far apart as two people could be. He'd stayed on his side. I'd stayed on mine. Evan Whitmore speaking. A pause. "I see. And this is effective immediately?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Of course. I'll cooperate fully with any investigation." Investigation. That was a word that could end careers. When he hung up, I opened my eyes. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. "Bad news?" I asked. "The board voted to suspend me, pending a full review." Suspended, from his own company, the company his father had built. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. Are you really sorry? Or are you thinking this is what I deserve? Both, probably, but I didn't say that. I'm sorry you're hurting, I said. He turned to look at me. Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you screaming at me or throwing me out or calling a lawyer? Why wasn't I? It was a fair question. Any normal person would be furious. Any normal person would want revenge. Because being angry won't change anything, I said. But it might make you feel better. Would it? Would being angry make the last 6 months unhappen? Would it make those voice recordings disappear? Would it make you love me the way I needed to be loved? He didn't have an answer for that. I need you to do something for me, he said. What? I need you to make a statement to the press. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding, that we're happily married and working through some challenges. Make a statement. Lie for him in public. Save his reputation. I can't do that, I said. Why not? Because it's not true. But if you don't... He stopped. Started again. Nia, without your support, this story will destroy everything. My company, my reputation, my future. His company, his reputation, his future. What about my future? I asked. What do you mean? If I lie for you now, what happens next? We pretend everything is fine? We go back to how things were? You go back to thinking I'm too simple for your world while I pretend not to notice? He flinched. That's not... I never meant. You did mean it. You recorded it. Hours of it, apparently. I was angry. I was confused. I said things I didn't mean. Or maybe you said things you've always thought, but never had the courage to say to my face. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Please, he said instead. I'm begging you. Help me fix this. Help him fix this. Like his cheating was a mistake that could be corrected with the right public relations strategy. I can't, I said. I won't lie for you anymore. Anymore. I thought about all the times I'd smiled when I wanted to cry. All the times I'd pretended to be someone smaller and quieter so he'd be comfortable. All the times I'd lied to myself about who we were together. I've been lying for you for 2 years, I said. I'm done. By Saturday afternoon, Lydia had arrived. She let herself in with her spare key, like she always did when there was a crisis to manage. She was dressed in her usual armor of expensive clothes and disappointed expression. Evan, she said, kissing his cheek. Then she looked at me. Nia. Just my name, no warmth, no greeting. I was sitting at the kitchen island with a cup of coffee, still in my pajamas. It was my house, too, but I felt like I was intruding on their family meeting. This is a disaster, Lydia announced, settling into the chair across from me. Absolute disaster. We're handling it, Mom. Are you? Because from what I'm seeing online, you're not handling anything. She pulled out her phone and started reading. Tech CEO's secret affair exposed at charity gala. Voice recordings reveal racist attitudes toward wife. Board votes for emergency suspension. Racist attitudes. I hadn't thought about it that way, but she was right. The way Evan talked about my background, my simplicity, my not belonging in his world, it wasn't just about class. It was about race, too. The voice recordings are particularly damaging, Lydia continued. People are calling you entitled, elitist. Some are even saying racist. I'm not racist, Evan said quickly. Intent doesn't matter. Perception does. Lydia's voice was sharp. And right now, the perception is that you married a black woman as some kind of experiment and then spent months mocking her to your white girlfriend. The words hung in the air like poison. That's not what happened, Evan said. Isn't it? Lydia looked at me for the first time since she'd arrived. What exactly did happen, Nia? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you orchestrated this entire disaster. I set down my coffee cup carefully. Excuse me? You knew about the affair for days. You had the evidence. Instead of handling it privately, like a mature woman would, you let it explode publicly at the most important event of the year. Let it explode, like I'd had any control over Claire sending the story to reporters. I didn't do anything, I said. Exactly. You did nothing, which is the same as doing everything. Lydia's voice was getting colder. A wife's job is to protect her husband's reputation, to handle family problems with discretion. Instead, you sat there like a deer in headlights while our family name got dragged through the mud. Our family name. Their family name. I'd never been part of it, not really. Maybe if your son hadn't been cheating, there wouldn't be any mud, I said. Lydia's eyes flashed. Men make mistakes. It's a wife's job to help them recover from those mistakes. But you people never understood that level of commitment. You people. The words sat between us like a slap. What did you just say? My voice was very quiet. I think you heard me perfectly well. Say it again. I want to make sure I understood. Lydia straightened in her chair. I said that your people don't understand commitment, sacrifice, doing what's necessary for the good of the family. My people. Black people. She'd finally said what she'd been thinking for 2 years. Mom. Evan's voice was sharp. That's enough. Is it? Because someone needs to say what we're all thinking. This girl has been a liability from day one. Wrong background, wrong education, wrong everything. I told you this would end badly. Wrong everything, including wrong color. I stood up slowly. Get out of my house. Your house? Lydia laughed. Darling, this house was bought with Whitmore money. Everything in it was bought with Whitmore money, including you. Get out. I said it louder this time. I will not be spoken to this way by... By what? Say it. By what? She pressed her lips together. Say what you really think of me. I continued. Say what you've always thought. Don't hide behind words like your people and wrong background. Say what you mean. I don't have to explain myself to you. No, you don't. But you do have to leave. This is my home, and you're not welcome here anymore. Evan? Lydia turned to her son. Are you going to let her talk to me this way? Evan looked between us. His mother, who had raised him and shaped him and given him every advantage. His wife, who was finally standing up for herself after 2 years of being made to feel small. I think you should go, Mom, he said quietly. Lydia's face went white with shock. Evan William Whitmore, you cannot choose this woman over your own mother. I'm not choosing anyone. I'm asking you to leave my wife alone. My wife. He'd called me his wife, defended me, even after everything. Lydia gathered her purse with sharp, angry movements. This family stood for something once. Standards, dignity, tradition. Now look what we've become. She walked toward the door, then paused. When this all falls apart, she said without turning around, and it will fall apart, don't expect me to clean up the mess. And the front door slammed behind her. Evan and I stood in the kitchen silence. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what she said, or for thinking it too. I never thought those things. Didn't you? Exotic, simple, wrong background, tourist at a family reunion. He winced with each word. Maybe I didn't think them consciously, he said. But they were there, weren't they? Under the surface. In the way I talked about you. The way I treated you. They were there. We both knew it. Yes, I said. They were. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Nia. Sorry. Such a small word for such big damage. I know you are, I said. But sorry wasn't enough anymore. Sunday morning, I woke up early. 6:30 a.m. The house was quiet and still. Evan was asleep next to me, his face soft and young in the dim light. For a moment, I remembered why I'd fallen in love with him. He'd been charming and interested and different from anyone I'd dated. He'd made me feel special. Chosen. I got up carefully, trying not to wake him. I had things to do. I started with the closet. Not the fancy clothes he'd bought me or the jewelry that came with expectations. Just my things. My real things. The sweater my sister gave me for Christmas. The jeans that actually fit. The books I'd been reading before I met him. It didn't take long. I'd been living small for 2 years, trying to fit into spaces that weren't made for me. I packed everything into 3 suitcases. Not dramatic, not angry, just practical. In the kitchen, I wrote a note. Short and simple. Evan, I'm staying with my sister for a while. I need time to think. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk about what comes next. Please don't call me before then. Nia. I left it on the counter, where he'd find it with his morning coffee. Before I left, I walked through the house one more time. The living room where I'd waited for him so many evenings. The kitchen where I'd cooked meals that got cold. The bedroom where I'd slept alone more nights than I cared to count. It was a beautiful house. Magazine perfect. But it had never felt like home. I picked up my keys and walked out the front door. The morning air was crisp and clean. It felt like possibility. My car started on the first try. I backed out of the driveway and drove away without looking back. The unraveling happened slowly, then all at once. By Monday afternoon, 3 major investors had pulled out of Evan's company. By Tuesday, 2 board members had called for his permanent removal. By Wednesday, the company's stock had dropped 15%. Claire disappeared completely. Her social media went dark. Her PR firm released a statement saying she was taking time for personal reflection. Translation: she was hiding. Lydia stopped appearing at her usual charity events. The family foundation quietly postponed its annual gala. The Whitmore name became something people whispered about instead of celebrated. I watched it all from my sister Maya's apartment across town. The spare bedroom was small and cramped, nothing like the house I'd left behind. But it felt safe. It felt like mine. Maya didn't ask many questions. She just made space for me and my things, and my need to figure out what came next. "You can stay as long as you need," she said on my 3rd night there. "I can't live in your spare room forever." "Why not? I like having you here. It's like when we were kids. When we were kids, before I'd tried to become someone else's idea of a perfect wife. I need to find my own place," I said. "Do you want your old job back? I heard they haven't filled your position yet." My old job. Full-time, not the part-time role Evan had convinced me I wanted. Real work, with real responsibility. "Maybe," I said. That maybe became a yes by Friday. My supervisor was thrilled to have me back full-time. There was more work than they could handle, and they needed someone who knew the systems. I would be making less money than Evan spent on wine in a month. But it would be my money, earned by my work. No strings attached. 3 months later, I had my own apartment. It wasn't fancy. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with outdated appliances. But it was mine. Every piece of furniture, every dish, every book. I'd chosen it all myself. I was walking home from the grocery store on a Saturday afternoon when I saw him. Evan was standing across the street looking lost. He was thinner than I remembered. His hair needed cutting. His clothes were wrinkled like he'd slept in them. Our eyes met across the busy street. Cars rushed between us. People walked past without noticing the moment suspended in the spring air. He raised his hand slightly. A wave? A greeting? I wasn't sure. I shifted my grocery bags and kept walking. Behind me, I heard him call my name. "Nia!" I didn't turn around. At the corner, I risked a glance back. He was still standing there watching me. He looked small and alone against the backdrop of the city. I felt a pang of something. Not love, exactly. Not even sympathy. Maybe just recognition. We had been married once. We had shared a life, however imperfect. But that life was over now. I turned the corner and went home to my small, perfect apartment. These days, I wake up in my own bed, in my own time. No one's schedule to accommodate. No one's expectations to manage. I make coffee the way I like it, strong and black, no fancy additions. I eat breakfast standing at my kitchen counter, looking out the window at the street below. Normal people living normal lives. Sometimes I think about Evan. I heard through Maya that he'd eventually been forced out of his company completely, that Lydia had moved to Florida to live with her sister, that the house we'd shared was for sale. I don't feel happy about his downfall, but I don't feel sad about it either. It's like hearing news about a stranger. Interesting, but not personal. The truth had done exactly what truth does. It had revealed everything that was already there. The lies. The pretense. The fundamental mismatch between who we were and who we pretended to be. I don't hate him anymore. I don't love him either. Mostly I just feel free. Free to be too simple for galas. Free to use the wrong fork. Free to belong exactly where I am, which is wherever I choose to be. Some mornings, when I'm walking to work or grocery shopping or just living my quiet life, I wonder if he sees me, if he notices how happy I look, how whole I've become without him. I hope he does. Not because I want him to suffer, but because I want him to understand. The woman he thought would disappear quietly didn't disappear at all. She just learned the difference between belonging somewhere and belonging to someone. The difference is everything.